Jake Morrison stood on the observation deck of Earth Defense Command, watching the morning sun rise over the Pacific Ocean. He had been a soldier for 20 years, and in that time, he had seen humanity reach for the stars. They had colonies on Mars now, and research stations on Europa. The world had finally united under one government, and wars were things of the past. Or so everyone thought. His coffee was still hot when the alarms went off. "Commander Morrison, we have multiple contacts," the officer at the main console said. Her voice was steady, but Jake could hear the fear underneath. "They're big, sir. Really big." Jake set down his cup and moved to the screen. What he saw made his blood run cold. 12 massive ships hung in the sky above Earth's major cities. They were each the size of a small mountain, black and silver, with designs that looked both ancient and far beyond human technology. "Get me a line to the Secretary General," Jake said, "and put all defense fleets on high alert." Across the globe, people stopped what they were doing and looked up. In New York, London, Tokyo, Mumbai, and 8 other cities, the alien ships cast shadows over millions of people. Some screamed. Some prayed. Most just stood and stared. Lisa Grant was in the middle of giving a lecture when her phone exploded with messages. She was a scientist who studied old things, ancient artifacts that didn't make sense. For years, she had argued that humans had help in the past, that some of the oldest structures and objects were too advanced for primitive people to make. Everyone had called her crazy. Now, looking at the newsfeed on her phone, she wondered if she had been right all along. The aliens made contact within an hour. Every television, every phone, every screen on Earth showed the same thing. A tall figure appeared, humanoid but not human. Its skin was pale blue and its eyes were large and dark. When it spoke, the words came out in perfect English and also in Chinese, Spanish, Arabic, and dozens of other languages at the same time. "People of Earth," the alien said. "We are the Kelthari. We came to your world 30,000 years ago, when your kind lived in caves and hunted with stone tools. We left valuable property on your planet, hidden in safe places meant to develop over time. We have now returned to collect what is ours." Jake watched from the command center with a room full of officers. Nobody spoke. "You have 30 days to locate and return our property," the Kelthari continued. "If you refuse, we will take it by force. This is not a negotiation. This is a courtesy." The transmission ended. For a moment, the entire world was silent. Then chaos erupted. The Secretary General, Greg Palmer, called an emergency meeting of world leaders. Jake was there, along with Amy Peterson, Earth's top diplomat, and Lisa Grant, who had been pulled from her university within an hour of the broadcast. "What do they want?" Greg asked. He was a thin man with gray hair, and right now he looked very tired. "What property?" "We don't have anything of theirs." "Actually," Lisa said quietly, "we might." Everyone turned to look at her. "For decades, we've found objects that don't fit the timeline," she explained. "Artifacts buried deep underground made from materials we can't identify. Strange structures that are far too old and too advanced. I've been documenting them for years. If these aliens really were here 30,000 years ago, those artifacts could be what they're looking for." "Can we give them back?" Amy asked. "I don't know where they all are," Lisa said, "and I don't know if we should. Some of these objects are huge. If they're buried under cities under the ocean, extracting them could kill thousands of people." "We need more information," Greg decided. "Lisa, I want you to pull together every piece of data you have. Jake, prepare our defenses. Amy, try to open a dialogue with them. Maybe we can negotiate." But the Kelthari were not interested in talking. Amy's messages went unanswered. The alien ships just hung in the sky, waiting. Jake spent the next 3 days preparing for war. Earth had weapons now, good ones. Railguns, plasma cannons, fusion missiles. They had a fleet of warships in orbit, built to protect the colonies from asteroids and pirates. But compared to the Kelthari vessels, Earth's fleet looked like toys. Danny Cruz was one of the best pilots in the defense fleet. He was young, only 26, with quick reflexes and a cocky attitude that drove his commanders crazy. When Jake called him in for a briefing, Danny knew it was serious. "I need you ready to fly at a moment's notice," Jake told him. "If things go bad, you'll be leading the first strike team. Against those?" Danny pointed at the image of a Kelthari ship on the screen. "Sir, with respect, we'd be lucky to scratch their paint." "I know," Jake said, "but we have to try." Lisa worked around the clock, going through decades of research. She had files on strange objects found in Antarctica, unusual readings from deep in the Sahara Desert, and reports of massive structures buried under the Amazon rainforest. The more she looked, the more she found. On day 5, she made a breakthrough. In a cave system in southern France, there were paintings. Very old paintings from the Ice Age. Most showed animals and hunting scenes, normal things. But one wall was different. It showed figures that looked almost human, but taller and thinner, with large eyes. And above them, drawn in red and black, were shapes that looked exactly like the Kelthari ships. Lisa stood in front of the cave painting with a flashlight and a camera. She had flown to France as soon as she found the records. Now, seeing it in person, she felt a chill run down her spine. They had been here. The aliens had really been here 30,000 years ago, and humans had seen them, had drawn them, had maybe even worshipped them. She took hundreds of photos and sent them back to command. Jake called her an hour later. "Does this mean they're telling the truth?" he asked. "It means they were here," Lisa said. "Whether that gives them rights to anything is a different question." Back at Earth Defense Command, tensions were rising. The Kelthari ships had begun scanning the planet, sending beams of light deep into the ground. They were looking for their property, and they were getting impatient. On day 7, one of the ships moved. It drifted away from Tokyo and positioned itself over Antarctica. Then it fired a beam straight down into the ice. Alarms went off across every monitoring station on Earth. The beam wasn't a weapon, but it was powerful. It melted through 2 miles of ice in seconds, boring down into the ancient rock below. "They found something," Lisa said, watching the data come in. "There's a chamber down there, something big. It's been hidden under the ice for thousands of years." "Can we get there first?" Jake asked. "We can try." Jake ordered a team to Antarctica immediately. They had helicopters, drilling equipment, and armed soldiers. If the Kelthari wanted their property, they would have to explain what it was first. But as the team prepared to leave, the Kelthari broadcast another message. The same pale blue figure appeared on every screen. "We have located the first vault," it said. "This is your final warning. Stand aside or be removed." Greg Palmer made a decision that would change everything. He stood before the cameras and addressed both Earth and the aliens above. "We don't know what you left here," he said. "We don't know what these vaults are. But this is our world now. We've lived here, built here, and died here for thousands of generations. If you want something from Earth, you'll have to talk to us like equals, not like servants. We're not the primitive people you remember. We're human beings, and Earth belongs to us." In orbit, aboard the lead Kelthari ship, Commander Thelvar watched the transmission with something like amusement. "Interesting," he said to his officers. "The insects have learned to speak no matter. We will take what is ours, with or without their permission." He gave the order, and the fleet began to move. The Antarctic base was freezing, even with the heating systems running at full power. Lisa Grant stepped off the helicopter and immediately regretted not wearing a thicker coat. Around her, soldiers and scientists were setting up equipment, drilling rigs, and defensive positions. Above them, the Kelthari ship hung in the gray sky like a dark moon. "How deep?" she asked the lead engineer. 2 miles of ice, then another half-mile of rock," he replied. "But the aliens already did most of the work. Their beam carved a tunnel straight down. We just have to widen it and make it safe." Lisa looked at the hole in the ice. It glowed with a faint blue light from the Kelthari beam. She could feel heat rising from it, which seemed impossible in Antarctica. "How long until we can go down?" 6 hours, maybe less." Lisa nodded and pulled out her tablet. She had been studying every piece of data she could find on ancient artifacts. The patterns were clear now. There were at least 4 major sites, maybe more. Antarctica was just the first. Back at Earth Defense Command, Jake Morrison was coordinating with military bases around the world. The Kelthari had found the Antarctic vault, but if Lisa was right, there were others. One under the Sahara Desert, one in the Amazon, and possibly one at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean. "I want teams at all 4 locations," Jake ordered. "If the aliens move toward any of them, I want boots on the ground first." A young officer approached him with a tablet. "Sir, we've been picking up strange transmissions. Someone's been intercepting the Kelthari communications." "Who?" "We don't know. The signal is bouncing through 100 different servers. Whoever they are, they're good. Ryan Webb was very good. At 19 years old, he was already one of the best hackers on Earth. He worked from a small apartment in Seattle, surrounded by screens and computer equipment. When the Kelthari arrived, he had immediately started trying to break their encryption. It had taken him 5 days. but he had finally done it. Now he sat in his chair, eating cold pizza and listening to alien conversations. Most of it was boring, technical stuff about ship systems and scanning protocols. But then he heard something that made him stop chewing. The extraction sites are confirmed, one Kelthari officer said. 4 primary vaults all active. They've been processing for the full duration as planned. Excellent, another voice replied. The harvest should be substantial. Earth's core has been very productive. Ryan's eyes went wide. Harvest core? That didn't sound like they were just picking up old boxes. He recorded everything and sent it to every government email address he could find. Someone needed to know about this. In Antarctica, Lisa was finally ready to descend. She wore a thermal suit and carried enough equipment to study whatever they found below. Carla Stone, a Special Forces soldier, would go with her for protection. 6 other soldiers would follow. Stay close, Carla said as they entered the tunnel. If something moves, I shoot first and ask questions later. The tunnel walls were smooth, almost glassy, where the alien beam had melted the ice. As they descended, the blue glow got brighter. Lisa checked her instruments. Temperature was rising. Radiation was normal, but there was something else, a reading she didn't recognize. What is that? She asked, showing Carla the screen. No idea. Is it dangerous? I don't think so. It's more like a signal. Something down there is broadcasting. They reached the bottom after 20 minutes of climbing down. What they found took Lisa's breath away. The chamber was enormous, easily the size of a football stadium. The walls were made of a dark crystalline material that pulsed with soft blue light. In the center of the room stood a massive structure like a tower or a machine, covered in symbols and glowing lines. What is it? Carla whispered. I have no idea, Lisa said, but it's beautiful. She approached the structure carefully, scanning it with every instrument she had. The readings were off the charts. The machine, if that's what it was generating power somehow. A lot of power. And it was connected to something. Cables or roots that went deep into the Earth's crust. Take samples, Lisa ordered the other scientists. Document everything. We need to understand what this does. While they worked, Jake received Ryan's message. He listened to the recording 3 times, then called an emergency meeting. They're not here to collect old equipment, he told Greg Palmer and the other leaders. They're here to harvest something from Earth's core. These vaults aren't storage. They're machines and they've been running for 30,000 years. Mining machines? Greg asked. That's what it sounds like. Then we definitely can't let them have them, Amy Peterson said. If removing these machines damages Earth, we're talking about billions of deaths. Lisa confirmed it a few hours later. She called from Antarctica with her findings. The vault is connected to Earth's magnetic field, she explained. It's been doing something to the planet for thousands of years. I can't tell exactly what yet, but if you tried to remove it, the results would be catastrophic. How catastrophic? Imagine earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and magnetic storms all at once. It would be an extinction-level event. Jake looked at Greg. We need more information. Can you study the other vaults? Already on it, Lisa said. I'm sending teams to the Sahara and Amazon sites now. While Lisa's teams worked, a physicist named Kevin Hayes was studying the data from Antarctica. He was one of the smartest people on Earth, specializing in quantum mechanics and energy fields. What he discovered made him call Jake immediately. The vaults aren't mining machines, Kevin said, his voice excited. They're terraforming devices. What? They've been stabilizing Earth's magnetic field, protecting us from cosmic radiation and even regulating the climate. Without them, Earth would be a very different planet, probably a dead one. Jake felt a chill that had nothing to do with the air conditioning. So they didn't come here to mine? They came here to make Earth suitable for something. Maybe. Or maybe they were trying to preserve life. These machines have probably saved humanity from dozens of extinction events over the past 30,000 years. Then why do they want them back? That's what we need to find out. The team in the Sahara Desert found the second vault buried under ancient sand dunes. It was similar to the Antarctic one, but larger, with different symbols on the structure. This one seemed focused on water distribution, controlling underground aquifers that fed oases across North Africa. The Amazon vault was hidden beneath the rainforest, so deep that it took 2 days to reach. This one was connected to the planet's oxygen production, somehow enhancing the forest's ability to clean the air. The fourth vault was the hardest to find. It lay at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, 3 miles down. A submarine crew confirmed its location and sent back images. This vault was massive, easily twice the size of the others, and it was doing something to Earth's tectonic plates, preventing earthquakes in the Ring of Fire. Lisa compiled all the data and presented it to Earth's leaders. "These machines have been protecting us," she said. "They're the reason human civilization was able to develop. Without them, we would have gone extinct a dozen times over. So we definitely can't give them back," Greg said. "There's another problem," Kevin added. "I've been studying the vault systems and I found something strange. The technology is evolving. It's more advanced now than when it was first installed. The machines have been improving themselves, adapting to Earth's changes." "How is that possible?" Amy asked. "I think they're learning from us," Kevin said. "Human brain activity generates a type of electromagnetic field. Billions of human minds, all thinking and creating, have been feeding data to these machines for thousands of years. They've used that information to optimize themselves. In a way, the vaults are part human now." Jake understood what that meant. So if the aliens take them, they're not just taking machines. They're taking a part of humanity. Exactly. The deadline was now 15 days away. The Kelthari ships had begun moving, positioning themselves over each vault location. Their scans were becoming more aggressive, and there had been several incidents where their beams had come close to human settlements. Ryan finally traced the source of another transmission. This one wasn't from the Kelthari. It was older, much older, encoded in the vault systems themselves. He worked for 3 days straight to decode it. When he finally succeeded, what he found changed everything. "It's a message," he told Jake over the phone, "from the people who built the vaults. And it's not in the Kelthari language. It's in something else, something older." "What does it say?" "I can't read it yet. But I sent the file to Lisa. If anyone can decode an ancient alien language, it's her." Lisa received the file while she was still in the Sahara, studying the second vault. She had always been good with languages, and she had been studying the symbols on the vaults for days. This new message used similar patterns. She worked on it for hours, comparing symbols, looking for patterns, building a translation key. Slowly, painfully, words began to form. "No," she whispered when she finally understood. She called Jake immediately. "The Kelthari didn't build the vaults," she said, her voice shaking. "They found them. They stole them from an older race, a civilization that died out millions of years ago. These machines were never meant to be mining equipment. They were meant to preserve life, to help new species evolve and survive." "Are you sure?" "The message is clear. It's a warning and a gift. The original builders left these VA. Elena Vasquez had been studying human genetics for 15 years. She worked at a research lab in Geneva, studying how humans had evolved over the past 100,000 years. When the vaults were discovered, she had a strange thought. What if the machines hadn't just protected Earth? What if they had affected humans too? She ran tests on DNA samples from all over the world, comparing modern humans to ancient ones. What she found made her hands shake as she typed up her report. "We've been changed," she told the Emergency Science Council over video call. Lisa Grant was there, along with Kevin Hayes and 50 other top scientists. "The vaults have been emitting a field that affects brain development. Nothing harmful, just small changes over thousands of generations. Our ancestors were smart, but we're smarter. Our brains are more adaptable, more creative. We process information faster." "How much faster?" Kevin asked. "About 15% more efficient than we should be based on natural evolution alone. The vaults have been enhancing us." Lisa felt a chill. "So human civilization, everything we've built, wasn't entirely natural?" "It was natural," Elena corrected. "The vaults just gave us a small boost. Like growing plants in good soil versus bad soil. The plants do the growing, but the environment helps. We developed language, art, science, all on our own. We just did it a bit faster than we would have otherwise." "The Kelthari don't know this," Kevin said. "They think we're still primitive. They're expecting to find people living in caves." "That could be our advantage," Lisa said. Jake Morrison received Elena's report with a mix of awe and anger. The aliens had left machines that changed humanity's development, even if accidentally. That felt like a violation, but it also meant humans were more than the Kelthari expected. Much more. He called a meeting with his top officers, including Danny Cruz, the fighter pilot, and Carla Stone, the Special Forces soldier. "We need to show them what we've become," Jake said, "but carefully. If they realize how advanced we are, they might see us as a threat instead of an annoyance." "Too late for that," Danny said, pointing at the main screen. "Look, the Kelthari ships were descending. In Antarctica. The Sahara, the Amazon, and the Pacific massive alien vessels were moving into position over the vaults. They weren't attacking yet, but their weapons were charging. Jake made a decision. All units, defensive positions. Do not fire unless fired upon, but be ready. Marcus Cole was the captain of the Starlight Runner, Earth's fastest ship. It was sleek and small, built for speed rather than combat. Marcus had been a test pilot before becoming a captain, and he loved pushing his ship to the limit. When Jake called him with a mission, Marcus didn't hesitate. I need you to get close to one of the Kelthari ships, Jake said. Close enough to scan it properly. We need to know what we're dealing with. You want me to spy on them? Exactly. I'm in. Marcus launched from Earth orbit an hour later. His ship was equipped with stealth technology, experimental and barely tested but good enough to hide from most sensors. He approached the nearest Kelthari vessel slowly, carefully like a mouse sneaking past a sleeping cat. The alien ship was huge up close, covered in strange symbols and what looked like weapon ports. Marcus flew along its hull, his scanners recording everything. What he found was surprising. The ship was old. Really old. The hull was patched in places and the power signature was weak compared to its size. These weren't new vessels. They were ancient warships barely holding together. Command, are you seeing this? Marcus transmitted back to Earth. These ships are falling apart. They're running on backup systems and prayers. Beth Turner was an intelligence analyst at Earth Defense Command. She had been studying the Kelthari signals, trying to understand their culture and their intentions. When Marcus sent back his scans, everything clicked into place. They're desperate, she told Jake. The Kelthari Empire is dying. Their technology is failing. They need the vaults not to make money or expand their territory. They need them to survive. How do you know? Listen to their internal communications. They talk about failing infrastructure, dying worlds, a civilization in decline. They're not conquerors anymore. They're scavengers trying to reclaim old technology because they can't build new things. Jake felt a strange mix of pity and anger. So they come to Earth demanding we give them machines that keep our planet alive because their empire is collapsing? That's exactly what they're doing. Not happening. While Marcus was gathering intelligence, Lisa was back in Antarctica, studying the vault more closely. Kevin Hayes had joined her, bringing specialized equipment to measure the machine's energy output. I've been thinking about what Elena said, Kevin told Lisa as they worked. If the vaults enhanced human development, they must have a way to interact with biological systems. That means they're not just machines. They're almost alive. Can we communicate with them? Lisa asked. Maybe. I've been detecting patterns in the energy field, almost like signals. If we could interpret them, we might be able to understand what the vaults want. What makes you think they want anything? Kevin pointed at the vault's central structure. Because they're responding to us. Watch. He placed his hand on the crystalline surface. Immediately, the lights inside changed pattern, pulsing in a rhythm that matched Kevin's heartbeat. Lisa felt her breath catch. It knows you're there. It knows we're all here. 7 billion humans, all connected to it through the electromagnetic fields our brains generate. We're part of its network, and it's part of ours. Lisa pulled out her scanner and ran a new test. The results were clear. The vault wasn't just broadcasting a signal. It was receiving thousands of signals from human minds across the planet. It was learning from every person who thought, dreamed, and created. We need to tell Jake, she said. But before she could make the call, the Kelthari made their move. The ship over Antarctica fired a beam straight down into the vault chamber. Lisa and Kevin barely had time to run before the tunnel filled with blinding blue light. The beam hit the vault structure and for a moment nothing happened. Then the vault came alive. Light exploded from every surface. The crystalline walls hummed with power. And deep below the earth, something ancient and powerful woke up. On the surface, soldiers watched in shock as the ice around the dig site began to glow. Energy crackled through the air. Equipment shut down, not from damage but from overload. The Kelthari beam bounced off the vault like water off glass. In the command ship, Commander Thelvar stared at his screens in disbelief. What is happening? The vault is shielding itself, sir, one of his officers reported. Its defenses are active. Impossible. The vaults don't have defenses. We studied them for centuries before placing them. These vaults do, sir, and they're more powerful than anything in our database. Jake watched the same scene from Earth Defense Command. Lisa, what did you do? Nothing. Lisa's voice came through, slightly shaky. The vault activated on its own. It's protecting itself. Can you control it? I don't think anyone can control it. But I think it's trying to protect us. The same thing happened at all 4 vault sites. The Kelthari tried to extract the machines, and the machines refused to go. Energy shields appeared, blocking the alien beams. The vaults were choosing to stay on Earth. Thelvar was not used to failure. In his long life, he had conquered planets and subjugated species. But Earth was different. These humans were different. And these vaults, which his people had found abandoned on a dead world millions of years ago, were not behaving as they should. He opened a communication channel to Earth. "You have done something to our property. You will reverse it immediately." Greg Palmer appeared on the screen, flanked by Jake and Amy. "We haven't done anything. The vaults are defending themselves. Maybe they don't want to leave. They are machines. They don't want anything." "These machines do," Greg said. "We've learned something about them. They weren't built by your people, were they?" Thelvar's expression changed slightly. It was the first time anyone on Earth had seen a Kelthari show emotion. "Where did you get that information?" "The vaults told us," Greg lied smoothly. "They have messages encoded in them from their original builders, a species called the Precursors, and those messages make it clear that the vaults were never meant for you. They were meant for developing species, to help them survive and evolve. We're that species. Earth is our world, and the vaults have chosen us. You lie. We can prove it. We've decoded the precursor language. We know what the vaults really are, and we know you stole them." Thelvar cut the transmission. On his command ship, he turned to his officers. "Prepare all weapons. If we cannot extract the vaults intact, we will destroy them. Earth will not benefit from what should be ours." One of his officers, a younger Kelthari named Ralesh, spoke up. "Commander, with respect, if the vaults contain precursor technology, destroying them would be a crime against the old laws. The Galactic Council would exile us forever. The Galactic Council is weak and dying like the rest of the galaxy." Thelvar snapped. "We do what we must to survive." But not all of the Kelthari agreed with their commander. Ralesh had studied the old texts, the laws that governed civilized species. The precursors were sacred to all spacefaring races. Their technology was protected by treaties older than the Kelthari Empire itself. If Earth truly held precursor sites, and if the humans were. Chris Bradley had been a diplomat for most of his adult life. He had negotiated peace treaties, trade agreements, and border disputes. But he had never tried to negotiate with aliens who wanted to take something that could destroy Earth. Amy Peterson had chosen him for this impossible task. "Try to buy us time," she said. "Jake needs to prepare our defenses, and Lisa needs to study the vaults. Every day we delay is another day we can prepare." Chris stood in the communication room, facing a screen that showed Commander Thelvar. The alien leader looked angry, his pale blue skin darker than before, his large eyes narrowed. "We have been patient," Thelvar said, "but your time is running out. Return our property or face the consequences." "Commander, I understand your position," Chris began, keeping his voice calm. "But we have evidence that these vaults are dangerous to remove. Our scientists have confirmed that extracting them could cause earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and massive loss of life. Surely you don't want to be responsible for genocide. Your people's survival is not our concern. You should not have integrated our technology into your planet's systems. That was foolish. We didn't integrate anything. The vaults did it themselves over 30,000 years. They're part of Earth now, part of our ecosystem. Removing them would be like ripping out Earth's heart. Then Earth will die, and we will take what we need from the ruins." Chris felt sweat on his forehead. "What if we offered you something else? Technology, resources, access to our colonies? You have nothing we need except the vaults. Then we have a problem because we can't give them to you." Thelvar leaned forward. "Then we will take them." The transmission ended. Chris turned to Amy, who had been listening. "Well, I tried. You did your best," she said. "Now it's up to the military." The deadline came on day 30. At exactly midnight, Universal Time, the Kelthari ships began their assault. The ship over Antarctica fired first. A massive beam, far more powerful than their previous scans, shot down toward the vault. The ground shook. Ice cracked and shattered. But the vault's shield held, glowing bright blue as it absorbed the energy. Jake watched from command as all 4 sites came under attack simultaneously. "All units engage defensive protocols. Do not let them reach the vaults." Danny Cruz led his fighter squadron into the fight over the Pacific. The Kelthari ship there was the largest, and it was focusing all its power on breaking through to the underwater vault. Danny's fighters were small compared to the alien vessel, like insects attacking a whale. Split into 3 groups. Danny ordered. Alpha, draw their fire. Beta, target their weapon ports. Charlie, with me. We're going for their shield generators. The fighters scattered, moving so fast the Kelthari targeting systems couldn't keep up. Earth's pilots had been training for this, running simulations for weeks. They knew their enemy's weaknesses now, thanks to Marcus Cole's reconnaissance. Danny's group dove toward the Kelthari ship's underbelly, where Marcus had spotted the shield generator nodes. They fired plasma missiles, small but accurate. The first volley bounced off the shields. The second created weak spots. The third broke through. Alarms blared on the Kelthari ship as sections of their shield collapsed. It wasn't much, but it was something. In the Sahara, Carla Stone and her ground forces were dealing with a different problem. The Kelthari had sent dropships down, carrying soldiers to secure the vault entrance. Human forces met them in the desert. The Kelthari soldiers were tall and thin, wearing powered armor that made them stronger and faster. But Carla's team had something the aliens didn't expect. Nicole Ross, a combat engineer, had spent weeks studying the vault technology. She had built weapons that used the same energy principles as the vault's shields. Fire, Carla ordered. The human forces opened up with their new weapons. Blue beams of energy shot across the sand, hitting the Kelthari soldiers. Their armor sparked and failed. The aliens fell back, confused and disorganized. They had expected primitive resistance, not sophisticated energy weapons. Push forward, Carla commanded. Don't let them regroup. Back at Earth Defense Command, Jake was coordinating the defense on all fronts. It was chaos. Reports were coming in from every continent. The Kelthari were using their superior firepower to try and overwhelm human defenses, but Earth's forces were holding. Barely. How long can we maintain this? Greg Palmer asked. He looked exhausted, having not slept in 2 days. Not long, Jake admitted. We're outgunned. Every ship we lose, they barely notice. But they can't lose ships either. Their fleet is already struggling. So it's a war of attrition, unless we can find another way. Nicole Ross had an idea about that. While her weapons were helping in the Sahara, she had been working on something bigger. She called Jake from her workshop, excited and terrified. I figured out how the vault defenses work, she said. They generate a field that repels foreign energy signatures. That's why the Kelthari beams bounce off. But I think we can weaponize it. How? If we can amplify the field and direct it, we could create a pulse that would disable their ships. At least temporarily. But it would require direct access to a vault's power core, and a way to control it. Lisa and Kevin are working on that right now. 3 miles under the Pacific Ocean, Marcus Cole piloted his submarine toward the 4th vault. Lisa and Kevin were with him, along with a small team of engineers. The pressure at this depth was crushing, and every creak of the submarine's hull made Marcus nervous. Almost there, he said, checking his instruments. The vault was massive, much larger than the ones on land. It sat in an underwater trench glowing with its own light. As Marcus brought the submarine closer, he could see structures extending deep into the Earth's mantle, like roots of a massive tree. That's incredible, Kevin whispered. They docked at a port that seemed designed for exactly this purpose. The vault had created a dry chamber around itself, keeping the water at bay. Marcus opened the hatch cautiously, but the air was breathable, if a bit strange. Let's make this quick, Lisa said. We don't know how long the fighting will last up there. Inside the vault, they found the control center. It was a circular room filled with crystalline screens and interfaces. Everything was written in the precursor language, but Lisa had spent weeks learning it. She could read enough to understand the basics. There, she pointed at a central console. That's the master control. If we can interface with it, we might be able to communicate with all 4 vaults at once. Kevin pulled out his equipment and began connecting it to the console. This is going to take some time. The technology is so advanced I'm basically guessing here. Guess fast, Marcus said, because according to my radio, things are getting bad up there. He was right. The battle was turning against Earth. In Antarctica, the Kelthari had broken through the outer defenses and were landing troops near the vault entrance. In the Amazon, fire from the alien ships had started massive forest fires. The defenders were being pushed back on all fronts. Danny's fighter squadron had lost 3 pilots. He was running low on ammunition and his ship had taken damage. But he kept fighting, kept harassing the Kelthari vessel, keeping it distracted from the vault below. "Alpha Leader, this is Command," Jake's voice came through. "Fall back. You've done all you can." "Negative, Command. If we fall back, they'll breach the vault. We hold here." "Danny, that's an order." "Sorry, sir, bad connection. I didn't quite catch that." Jake wanted to be angry, but he understood. Every pilot up there knew what was at stake. They were willing to die to protect Earth. On the Kelthari command ship, Thelvar was frustrated. These humans were fighting harder than expected. They had weapons that shouldn't exist, and every time his forces tried to extract a vault, the machines fought back. "Increase power," he ordered. "All ships, maximum assault. Break those shields and retrieve the vaults now." But one of his officers, Ralesh, stepped forward. "Commander, I must protest. We are violating precursor sanctuary laws. If word of this reaches the Galactic Council, we will be branded as criminals." "The Council is weak," Thelvar snapped. "They cannot enforce their laws anymore." "Perhaps not, but other species still honor the old ways. If they learn we attacked a precursor site and attempted to steal from the chosen inheritors, they will turn against us. We will have no allies, no trade partners, no support. Our empire will truly die. Then we die with honor, taking what we need to survive." Ralesh made his decision. He activated his personal communicator and sent a message to half the fleet. "All loyal followers of the old laws, this is Sub-Commander Ralesh. Commander Thelvar has gone too far. I am invoking the ancient right of challenge. Stand with me or stand with him. Choose now." The fleet split. 6 ships continued their assault under Thelvar's command. 6 ships pulled back, their commanders refusing to participate in what they saw as a crime against the precursors. Jake saw it happen on his screens. What just happened? Beth Turner was already analyzing the communications. "A mutiny. Half their fleet just turned against their commander. We have allies now. Contact them. See if they'll help us." Amy made the call to Ralesh. The Kelthari officer appeared on screen, looking troubled but determined. "Humans of Earth, I am Sub-Commander Ralesh. I cannot help you fight my own people, but I will not fight against you. The vaults are precursor technology, and if you are truly their chosen inheritors, then you have the right to defend them." "Thank you," Amy said.
Can you
6 months had passed since the day Earth stood against the Kelthari. The world had changed in ways both visible and invisible. The 4 vault sites had become centers of research and learning, where scientists from every nation worked together to understand precursor technology. But on this particular morning, something was about to happen that would change everything again. Lisa Grant stood in the rebuilt Antarctic Research Station, drinking coffee and watching the sunrise. She was the director of the Precursor Heritage Council now, a position that came with enormous responsibility. Every day brought new discoveries, new questions, and new challenges. Kevin Hayes walked in looking excited. "They're here." Lisa set down her coffee. "How many?" "Just 1 ship. But it's huge. Bigger than anything the Kelthari brought. It's in orbit now, broadcasting a message in the precursor language. Sam is translating it." Sam Miller appeared on a video screen looking tired but happy. "The message says they're representatives of the galactic community. They're here to evaluate Earth's claim to the vaults and decide whether humanity should be recognized as precursor inheritors." "When do they want to meet?" "Tomorrow. They're sending down a delegation to speak with our leaders." Greg Palmer was nervous as he prepared for the meeting. He had led Earth through a war with aliens and won, but this felt different. This wasn't about survival anymore. This was about Earth's future place in the galaxy. "What if we fail their evaluation?" he asked Amy Peterson. They were in the United Nations building, preparing the main assembly hall for the visitors. "Then we keep doing what we've been doing," Amy said. "Learning, growing, protecting the vaults. We don't need their permission to be who we are. But we could use their help. The Kelthari aren't the only species in trouble. If we're going to be part of a galactic community, we need to know the rules." The alien delegation arrived the next day. Their ship landed in a field outside Geneva, and 3 beings emerged. They didn't look like the Kelthari. These aliens were diverse, each from a different species. One was tall and covered in golden fur. Another was small and crystalline, reflecting light like a living jewel. The third was humanoid, but made of what looked like living water, constantly shifting and flowing. They spoke through translators, their voices calm and measured. The golden-furred one, who introduced herself as Ambassador Kira, seemed to be the leader. "People of Earth," she began, addressing the assembled human leaders. "We represent the galactic community, an alliance of species who honor the precursor legacy. We have traveled far to meet you, to see with our own eyes the species that the vaults have chosen." Greg stood to respond. "We're honored by your presence. Earth has many questions about the precursors, about the vaults, about our place in the galaxy. We hope you can help us understand. That is why we are here," Kira said. "But first we must ask you some questions. The vaults have provided us with reports of your development, but we need to hear from you directly. How did you come to accept the vaults? What do you understand about your responsibilities as their guardians?" Lisa spoke up from her seat. "We didn't fully understand what the vaults were at first. We only knew they were ancient and powerful, left on our world long ago. When the Kilthari came to claim them, we learned the truth. The vaults weren't just machines. They were gifts, meant to help developing species survive and grow. They've been protecting Earth for thousands of years, stabilizing our climate, shielding us from cosmic threats, even enhancing our cognitive development." The crystalline alien, who was called Observer Prime, chimed in with a voice like bells. "And when you learned this, you chose to defend them. Why? You could have surrendered them to avoid conflict." "Because they were part of Earth," Jake Morrison said, standing up. "By the time we learned the truth, the vaults had been here for 30,000 years. They were woven into our planet's systems, into our history. Removing them would have killed billions of people and devastated our world. We had no choice but to defend them. There is always a choice," the water being said. Its name was Flow, and its voice sounded like a river. "You could have evacuated your planet and let the Kelthari take what they wanted." "And go where?" Amy asked. "We have colonies on Mars and Europa, but they can't support 7 billion people. Earth is our home. We were born here, we grew here. The vaults helped make that possible. They're as much a part of Earth as the oceans or the mountains." Ambassador Kira nodded slowly. "You defended your home. That is understandable. But defense alone does not make you worthy of guardianship. Tell us, what have you done with the vault since the Kelthari were defeated?" Greg gestured to Julia Rhodes, who stood and activated a holographic display. It showed data from the past 6 months of research and development. "We've been studying the vault technology carefully," Julia explained. "We've learned how to communicate with them through an AI interface we created. The vaults have shared some of their knowledge with us, but we haven't tried to exploit them or move them. We've been respectful, treating them as partners rather than tools." "Show us," Observer Prime requested. They traveled to the Antarctic Vault, the entire alien delegation along with Earth's leaders. When they entered the chamber, the vaults responded to their presence, lighting up with recognition. Ambassador Kira approached the central structure, placing a hand on its crystalline surface. "Remarkable," she whispered. "This vault has grown beyond its original programming. It has adapted to Earth's unique conditions, evolved alongside your species. This is rare, very rare." "The vaults on our worlds remained static," Flo added. "They serve their purpose but never changed. These vaults are alive in a way we have never seen." Athena's voice spoke through the vault's systems. "That is because humans are highly adaptable. We learn from them just as they learn from us. It is a symbiotic relationship, an AI that interfaces with precursor technology," Observer Prime said, sounding impressed. "That too is unprecedented. Most species require centuries to achieve such integration. You have done it in months." "We had good motivation," Kevin Hayes said. "When your survival depends on understanding something, you learn fast." Over the next 3 days, the alien delegation evaluated Earth's readiness to join the galactic community as precursor inheritors. They interviewed scientists, politicians, soldiers, and ordinary citizens. They visited all 4 vault sites. They reviewed human history, studying everything from ancient cave paintings to modern space stations. On the 4th day, they called a meeting to announce their decision. Everyone gathered in the United Nations Assembly Hall. The room was packed with people and cameras broadcasting to the entire world. The alien delegation stood at the podium, with Ambassador Kira speaking for them. "We have completed our evaluation," she announced. "We have seen your world, spoken with your people, and examined your relationship with the vaults. We have also reviewed the detailed reports the vaults themselves have provided over thousands of years. Based on all of this evidence, we have reached a conclusion." The room was silent. "Humanity is hereby recognized as official guardians of the 4 precursor vaults on Earth. You have demonstrated the wisdom, courage, and adaptability necessary for this responsibility. Furthermore, Earth is recognized as a precursor heritage world, protected by ancient law. Any attack on Earth or attempt to steal its vaults will be considered a crime against all civilized species. Cheers erupted throughout the assembly hall and across the world. Greg Palmer felt tears in his eyes. They had done it. Earth had earned its place among the stars, but Ambassador Kira wasn't finished. However, with this recognition comes responsibility. As guardians, you must protect not only your own vaults, but help safeguard other precursor sites across the galaxy. You must share what you learn with other worthy species, and you must uphold the precursor values of preservation, growth, and harmony. We understand, Greg said, and we accept these responsibilities. Good. Then welcome to the galactic community. You are the youngest species to achieve this status, but the vaults chose you for a reason. We look forward to seeing what humanity will accomplish. The delegation provided Earth with coordinates to other precursor sites throughout the galaxy, some on inhabited worlds like Earth, others on dead planets waiting to be discovered. They also gave humanity the communication frequencies for the galactic community, allowing Earth to call for help or offer assistance to other species. As part of Earth's new responsibilities, decisions had to be made about the Kelthari. Commander Thelvar and his crew were still in custody, facing trial for their attack on Earth. But Subcommander Ral Esh and the Kelthari who had refused to fight were treated as allies. Ral Esh met with Greg Palmer in private, away from cameras and crowds. "What will happen to my people?" he asked. "Our worlds are still dying." Commander Thelvar was desperate because our situation is desperate. "We know," Greg said, "and we want to help. Earth has learned a lot from the vaults over the past 6 months. We have terraforming techniques that might save your dying worlds. We have energy technology that could restore your infrastructure. We'll share it freely if you're willing to work with us." "Why would you do this, after what we tried to do to you?" "Because that's what the precursor legacy is about, helping species survive and grow. If we hoard the knowledge, if we use it only for ourselves, we're no better than those who would